actually Tuesday today. I think it's May, what's today? I don't even know. May 19th. It's only on a Tuesday. A, because it's sunny out finally and not raining, and B, because I want to try actually editing this video, and I'm going to need time to do that. So I'll film today and hopefully post tomorrow. So, obvious new addition here. These are no longer spinach. I gave up on the spinach. It wasn't doing anything. So now these are pansies, I think. I actually have no idea. My mom had leftovers, so I put them in here. They've already grown since, I think I planted them on Saturday or Sunday. They're doing all right. A little worse for wear at the moment, but they should grow pretty decently. So, former spinach container, now a flower container. Then over here, the violets are doing well. I'm trying to get them back to life because they came very, very scraggly. I got them in the discount section, and they had been through something, clearly. So you can see tons of new little flowers coming. I've been pruning back all the deadheading them, and trying to get it a bit more full, which it is starting to look a bit more full, but I think it's going to take some time to get this one back to life entirely. The greenhouse is, actually I don't think anything has changed in this greenhouse since last week. We have some sprouts of, I actually have no idea what that is. It could be jalapeno. Everything here, yeah, I don't think I planted anything. I am waiting probably one more week on those sweet peas. I've been trying to figure out where in the garden I'm going to put them, but they're growing pretty well and they're almost ready, I think, to put out into the real ground. So maybe by next week those will have found a new home. And then what else? The cilantro's doing okay. It's starting to get some real leaves, and those are right there, I believe, bushing cucumbers, I'm pretty sure. So I've actually planted all of the bushing cucumbers I want. So these are leftovers, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to let them grow a bit more in these to just get them stronger, and then decide if I'm going to give them away or just put them in the ground somewhere. Everything else I'm leaving until it's bigger. So those onions are doing pretty well. They're starting to get a bit stronger, a bit thicker. So I'm waiting for those to just harden up a bit before I put them into the garden bed. And the rest is mostly lettuce, and it's just very leggy. I may just throw it in the garden bed for funsies, but generally I have a ton of lettuce, you'll see in a second. So I might give them away, or I might just leave them here or put them in a different pot. You know, the containers aren't looking so great, so I might move them. And then in here, let's see. This is the, what is it, bell peppers. Still so freaking nothing happening in there. So I'm pretty sure that's a lost cause. Now it's basically a science experiment. I mentioned the containers aren't looking so hot. I'm not entirely sure what happened here. I don't know. There's fertilizer, there's soil, everything's in it. I think I might have used old soil that was sitting in a bag for a while, and that probably didn't help. But this has been here, I think I checked the date was end of March 20th or so I put these in. So we're coming up on 2 months, and this is nothing for 2 months, especially for lettuce. So this is, again, I think a lost cause, but science experiment until I find a better use for these containers. Same is true for this container. I could technically cut this and eat it if I wanted to, but meh. Over here, again, same problem. So the scallion's looking okay though. I have that. I might do herbs or something up here. Unclear. I'm also just concerned in general about the viability of these, because they don't seem to be doing very well. I might just buy a bag of compost. The hammock of dreams is now in the garden, so that's lovely. Over here we have a Penelope Pixel who is guarding the chives that appeared out of nowhere. So I guess I have chives now. I actually probably need to move these to a sunnier spot since they do seem to have come to life, and maybe they need more dirt. But at the same time, they're growing despite all odds, and I kind of want to just leave it like that and see what happens. Then these are the bushing cucumbers. These I think I put in the pot a week or two ago, and they're starting to grow real leaves. So this one wasn't doing so hot right after the transplant, but now it's looking pretty strong, no more yellow leaves, and I see a little baby leaf in there. So think this might do okay. Yay. Then again, the field of radish and carrots. The carrots are starting to fill out some new leaves, which is neat and about time. And now I can tell the difference between the weeds and the carrots. Again, this is just a whole little experimental area. I can see right here, actually, there's a radish. So it's not all lost. It's just gonna be some very, very small radishes, I think. I actually picked that, but this technically should be thinned. But again, I'm just letting nature do its thing over here. And you can see where this radish has some more space. It definitely has more leaves. Excuse me, maybe this is the reason the radishes aren't growing. But yeah, just gonna let it do its thing. And I'm actually probably going to talk to a professional landscaper about this whole back area, because this bag is this patch, and there's no way in hell I, as one single human, am going to be able to clear out this whole 40-foot area. 40 foot by, I think it's 3 feet or so. That's just too much for me. I could do it if it was like on top of landscape fabric or something, but this is dug in. I don't think it's worth endeavoring for me to clear this out, but I also don't have a plan for what to do back here yet, and what trees I might want to remove or what trees I might want to keep. They're all very old, which is kind of cool. So over here we have flowers, and was it yesterday, 2 days ago? These were very much in bloom. So there were 3 over here, there's 2 now, and another one that will probably come out in the next couple days. This has 5 open right now, which is awesome. There's tons of these, and actually even more as of yesterday, so those will all be flowers. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I count at least 9 from this angle, 10. So there's plenty more flowers to come here. And then over here, the orangey red ones, they're in the shade more, and I'm wondering if that's making a difference. The columbines are, I don't know if they're done for the year or what. This one has no flowers left on it. I see a couple of, I think, seed pods. I need to watch these more because I'm not entirely sure what is a bud versus what is a seed pod. Stay tuned. I have to do some research. That one's doing a little bit better over there. It gets a tiny bit more sun. They get sun at different times of the day. And then Myrtle herself, who is this tree right here, is coming back to life. So you can see all sorts of greenery on her. And I noticed that the tree behind, which I believe is a Hollywood juniper, is growing into Myrtle, which I'm not a fan of. You can see that branch is growing into the tree. So I can cut that one back myself. The problem is all the recycling centers are closed, so I have nowhere to put these branches when I trim them, and they're a little too big to put in the garbage. So that's also why I'm looking at maybe getting a landscaper to come in and just do a pass at the bigger stuff, so I can focus on the smaller stuff, like my mint and basil. The mint is doing great. I used it the other day, and the basil honestly isn't looking so hot. It's very small, it's very yellow. I need to keep an eye on it, maybe move it to a different spot. I don't remember if these cages, I don't think these cages were here last week. My neighbor next door is 96 years old, and he used to do tomatoes in his garden. This is obviously all before I was here. His kids told me, his kids who are older than my mom, they offered me his cages that they have in the back. And when he found out he was doing the garden, he made sure that everyone told me that I should take his cages because they're very important for the tomatoes. So I have 2 cages, and there's a couple more that I might take one more for there. But the peas are on the cages because I have a whole other plan for how I'm going to do the tomatoes. I'm going to stake them up. It's been very productive for me in the past, and the cages, I find I outgrow them really quickly. So I'm going to do the staking for the tomatoes, but the cages are perfect for these snap peas that are, for the most part, doing really well. So I did these from seed, and these are the royal snaps. They're starting to get these really neat, let's see if I can get in there, purple leaves. There we go. And they're starting to grow up the cage a tiny bit. They're not grabbing onto anything yet, but I think this week they definitely will. This is the one that had some damage, and honestly, I'm surprised it's still alive. It doesn't look healthy at all, but it's also not dead, so maybe it has hope yet. And then the rest of them, this one's looking particularly healthy. And then these, I don't know if they were in last week either. These are the honey snaps, I think. Yeah, the honey snaps. And there were 4. One of them did not make it. So I need to get the cage for these, but these are looking really strong too. And also have these neat little colorful leaves. So yeah, snap peas are looking good. The cucumbers did not survive the frost, and I put new seeds in there. They're not up yet. I think I might just go down to the farm center, maybe even today, it's really nice out, and buy some cucumber starts, because we're getting a little late now, and I really want them just growing. I don't know, I don't have a lot of confidence in those seeds, so I might just cheat on those. The tomatoes are looking good. I had to pull off one little set of leaves from, I think it was this one, the other day, because it was getting a little yellowy and brown and was just, I think, too close to the soil. So this one is a grape. I think this is a grape tomato. I don't have the little tag for this one. And then these 2 are beefsteak of the supersonic variety. And then that one is my San Marzano. And that one is looking the best of all. I'm excited for that one because I've fully planned to try and do my own pasta sauce this year. Over here we have the jalapenos. They're looking strong and are starting to put on, I think, a second set of leaves, which is nice. And so far so good. I've never had luck growing peppers, period, or peppers from seed. So fingers crossed. In an interesting change of events, I tried to rescue some of the spinach from that bed, or rather that container, and I just pulled up whole chunks of it and shoved it in the ground here. It was very unceremonious. So I was mad at the spinach for not growing in the container. Well, I was mad at the container. I don't know what I was mad at, but I just kind of shoved it in the soil here and hope for the best. Honestly, I think it might work because some of them are perking up already, and that one looks pretty decent back there. So maybe, just maybe, I could have salvaged those. Then in these rows we have carrots that I planted a couple weeks ago, and I thought I had planted carrots and then I forgot and I couldn't tell if I had planted them. It turns out I did plant carrots, right? Let's see if you can see them here. So this surprise row of carrots I must have put in at the same time as everything else, which makes sense because I knew I planted carrots, I just didn't remember where. But nonetheless, I now have 2.5 rows of carrots. So you can see little baby sprouts coming up in here. If it'll focus. There we go. And then what's really interesting about this section right here is this is the exact same seed planted at the exact same time. But these are like less than half the size. And I don't know why, because you can totally plant lettuce next to onions, and these are scallions. There's nothing competing. I can't figure out why this section here would be so different, but it is. It's even true right here. Like, these radishes are smaller than all of the others. So I really want to watch this section over the course of a sunny day and see if maybe it gets different light or something. I have a sneaking suspicion that this area right here is in the direct shadow of this basketball hoop, which is strange because you'd think it just kind of moves over the course of the day, but it's entirely possible, I guess. It is the right shape. So this is something to be aware of, if true. Then back here, more importantly, or more excitingly perhaps, lettuce. The mesclun mix is looking awesome, and in fact is ready to start cutting some of it. I can start having a salad today if I want to. The ones back there are even stronger than the ones here, I think. So I think this is baby spinach, these guys. So I can start eating those soon, start cutting those. I'm waiting for my little tiny scissors to come in. I think they'll be here later this week or next week, but I might, because they're getting a little bit large and I don't really like them tough, I might start trimming them this week. And then over here, the arugula is looking good. I can actually start trimming these. That's the arugula that I planted from a full start. And honestly, I don't like it. It's too strong. It's, I think it's a different type of arugula. And it's just not for me. So I'm gonna start using it in different ways, maybe cooking it or something, but I don't like it raw, which I do like those. So we'll just, I don't know, save that bunch for something else. Then the onions are looking good. Got some decent little stems going on down here. And the radishes are looking fun. So let's see if I can find a good one. See little bits of red peeking out in here. There's some red here, here, and here, and here. Ta-da. Oops, hello. So definitely gonna have radishes to start picking probably. I have to check my spreadsheet, but I think 2 or 3 weeks. These are 2 different varieties, so this first row is different from the second. One of them is an early globe and the other one is a scarlet something maybe. So the early ones, I'm guessing, are the ones that are out already. And I don't know if this is a weed or a spilled seed, so I'm just gonna, it might be grass actually. And then my little surprise lettuce, because I must have spilled the pack over here, that's doing well. So that is it for there. Cut to the strawberry, and you know, they've looked better. I actually added some soil the other day because I did. I don't know why. It just felt like it needed it. So I'm trying to perk these up a little bit. I think when I planted one of these pots, I had that same older soil that I used in those containers up there, and I was worried that it's just lacking nutrients and stuff. So I put in some new organic soil from here, and I'm hoping that helps. I mean, they're growing leaves and stuff, but it's almost June, and you'd think I'd start seeing some signs of berry production. So yeah, nothing really too exciting on the strawberry front. And I feel like I get to the end of this every week and I realize I forgot something, but I think that's it. So the garden is looking solid. The flowers section, which is an unexpected turn to this whole garden story, I end up planting way more flowers than I planned to, I guess. So the poppies, and those will be ranunculus over there, they're all looking great. And yeah, I think in the next couple weeks we'll start having some actual food to eat. All right, that has been week 5, I think, of the garden tour. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff that the YouTube things do, and I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye. Excuse me. Excuse me. Penny, you're in the way. Do you mind? Do you mind? Thank you. Yes, hello.